for people in another race and another nationality did not even recognize was different. The Jews were different. They weren't close. No. They didn't have no close friendship or kinship here. They were different. But this man, outsider, a stranger, was appreciated by what he had seen and what he had heard and the entertainment of the Jewish elders and whatnot. And then they sent and returned to the house and found the servant whole that had been sick. So the servant was not had a cold or a cough. He was on his deathbed, and Jesus healed him. And Jesus is in the same healing business today. He still can heal. He's still working miracles. Every day you wake up is a miracle. He's still doing those great things. And we can't execute that type of faith that this person that didn't even know Jesus, that who was an outsider or outcast. Be careful how you treat outsiders and outcasts. And he did. You know what? He didn't say, Jesus, show me a sign that you Christ, and that I'm going walking down the right side of the road, and show me a sign, give me a wonder, give me something that makes sure that I'm treading the right path. Do this in my life. Heal my mother so I know that my prayers are being heard. He didn't ask for any wonders. He didn't ask for any signs. He didn't ask for any of these things that we sometimes ask for to be convinced of who Christ is. He was convinced. He had confidence. He didn't need blessed assurance, Jesus' mind. He didn't need anything that any wonders, any signs, or anything that you need to show me Jesus, that you're Jesus. I don't need to see 1,000 people in the church. I don't need to see these pews completely filled to know that I'm on the right path. And I'm going to spirit filled and word delivered by Christ. I don't need to see those wonders. I'm convinced of who you are. I'm convinced that you're who you say you are. And if I never win the lottery, which you should be playing, if I never get $100,000 in my bank account, if I never occupy or own these things that Donald Trump or other people, wealthy people own, then I'm still your servant. And I still have a job to do because we're all called to do something. And whatever that is, you should be doing it. Whether just making coffee, I'm just having fun with you, whether it's making coffee, or whatever that is that you call to do, you do it. And you do it faithfully. And that's all Jesus is asking for. And that's what this lesson is about. And so, that's the gospel message. And it's like any other message. It comes with power and it transforms lives. And now I'm sure that gospel message transformed this centurion's life. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't necessarily like the Roman soldiers who Paul and Silas were in jail and they got released and they wanted to commit suicide because they were released. And he was convinced of who Christ was, and he was more convinced than the elders and some of the other people that Jesus were. Closing thoughts and comments.
Great lesson.
Yeah. Like you did something.
Yeah. He didn't need that. He didn't need that convincing thing from Christ.
It's like giving Jesus.
Work a deal with him.
Ultimatum. If you do this, I'm gonna do this.
You hear my mother, or you hear my spouse, and I'm gonna be in service.
Give me a sign.
Give me a sign. That centurion that needs signs and he wanted to anything else. In fact, he had heard about the gospel message only. He only heard about the gospel message, and he was so convinced.
Amen.
And that's our lesson today. I'll let Reverend Jackson close. Continue on.
Thank you.
Great lesson.
Before you leave, Brother Z, before you leave, if you all remember some of what we discussed last week, we discussed the concept of smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. In Luke 23rd chapter, what we have traditionally come to know as the seventh of the last sayings of Christ on the cross. The text says that Jesus said, Father, into thy hand I commit my spirit, right? and then he breathed his last. But if you got 2 seconds, look at Luke, the 23rd chapter, real quick. It ain't what I'm going to talk about today, but I just see so many parallels. Joe over there looking at me talking about he thinking too hard. 23rd chapter, Luke 23. Sometimes my brain can't stop, right? But in the 46th verse is where he breathes his last. He died in the 46th verse, right? But what was so interesting to me was that centurion, right, that participated in the spearing of Christ, where the blood and the water gushed from him. The text says he representing 100, right? The text says in 47, so the centurion saw, 23rd, Luke 23, Luke 23, I'm sorry, no, Luke 20, the order said Luke 23, I'm sorry, Luke 23, verse 47 says, so the centurion saw what had happened. He glorified God, saying, certainly this was a righteous man. What's amazing to me is how sometimes it takes a crucifixion, it takes someone's sacrifice in order for someone else who begins to understand their undeservedness, right? Their participation in the crucifixion of Christ, to understand just how unworthy they are, right? To come to the place of understanding my unworthiness drives me to faith. I appreciate what Ms. Grace said about sometimes our faith is wavering. It does. Sometimes our faith wavers. Sometimes we don't believe or see things regarding our relationship with God as though we're even worthy of it. But I thank God that he never based our relationship on our worthiness. And the truth of the matter is, the faith that's wavering is faith in ourselves, when our faith really needs to be toward the one who deserves faith. I don't mean no harm, Miss Grace. We just talking. We just kicking the bobo. You know, I don't know nothing. I'm just saying. But sometimes we focus so much on our inability, right? When the truth is, we never had the ability in the first place. Our faith is outside of us. It's not inside. The faith that we have is projected toward the one who can do something. That's why I appreciate Jesus on the cross. Jesus took the cross. This is what we talked about last week. Jesus took the cross alone. He died alone. Matter of fact, they say that the centurion was converted. The crowd that was around, they were convicted. Because the text says, based upon the crowd in verse 48, and the whole crowd who came together to that site, seeing what had been done, right, beat their breast and returned. The crowd, so the centurion who participated in the murder was converted, glorified him. The crowd that didn't necessarily know much about Jesus were convicted. They were grief-stricken, right? They were converted. They were, convicted. But this is the part that, right? I know why he was alone. Because verse 48 says, and the whole, in verse 48 says, verse 49, but all his acquaintances, his friends, his companions, right? The ones who was supposed to be with him, and the women who followed him from Galilee stood at a distance. Jesus died alone. But that death that he died alone had a bigger purpose. It had a greater meaning. Focus wasn't on him on the cross. His focus was on those who were killing him. And sometimes it's hard to gain perspective when you're getting killed. To begin to understand that this life that we live for Christ is bigger than us. And so therefore we waver in our faith. His friends wavered in their faith. His friends that were supposed to be close to him, they stood afar off. Isn't that real? But the truth is, he still loves us. He still cares for us. I'm amazed by the centurion. I'm amazed by the centurion of Luke 7. Because it's the centurion of Luke 7 and it's the centurion of Luke 23 that allows me to understand that it's the one who recognizes the depth of their sin who really has the opportunity to get close to God. Because we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We all have been like sheep led astray. But guess what? He delivered us all. He loves us all. He cares for us all. So as we march through life, I think it's important for us, even in the depravity, even in our sinfulness, even in the waywardness that we exercise, that we take heart in knowing that although my faith wavers, I got a friend who sticks closer than a brother. I got someone who loves me and cares for me, is there for me. He encourages me, even when I'm unencourageable. He loves me, even when I'm unlovable. See, that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that he was born, he lived, he died, and he rose again. But why is that significant? He did it all so that even if I am wayward, I still have a place. Even if I don't do what he wants me to do. I asked somebody the question the other day, would Jesus have died even if I chose not to trust him? Yes, he would have. Just in the hope that I would come. Ain't that good? It's a friend. Man, that's a friend. A friend shows love even when you're unlovable. Right? Ain't sometimes it's hard to stick close to some folk, bro? Ain't sometimes it's hard to stick close to some folk when they unlovable? And then to give them the latitude. See, that's what marriage is all about. Marriage to me is the greatest demonstration of the unity of Christ and the Godhead. Amen?